over 5.2 million Britons have risen up in a way unseen in modern history, forcing King Charles into an impossible position. In just 48 hours, he must decide whether to save democracy or risk ending the monarchy itself. As Britain watches in disbelief, the government is collapsing under the weight of public fury, and the nation stands on the brink of a political earthquake that could rewrite its history. Right now, Britain is facing its worst constitutional crisis in 200 years. The government holds the lowest approval rating ever recorded. A petition has shattered every political record in UK history. And the king finds himself trapped between two impossible options: protect his people and democracy, or protect the institution of the crown. Behind palace doors and inside Downing Street, panic has turned into chaos, and the country's political system is hanging by a thread. Just 3 weeks ago, it all seemed like normal political frustration. Approval ratings were slipping, ministers were under fire, nothing the UK hadn't seen before. Then came the spark that ignited the storm. A petition appeared on Parliament's official website with a simple demand: call an immediate general election. Within 24 hours, 100,000 people had signed it. In 48 hours, that number reached 500,000. By the end of the first week, more than 2 million citizens had joined in, and instead of slowing down, it kept growing. 3 million, 4 million, 5.2 million signatures, and still climbing. That's more people than the entire populations of Scotland and Wales combined. Roughly 8% of the country's population took direct action, demanding change. This isn't an internet fad or a viral moment. It's a nationwide outcry, something no modern government can simply brush aside. Inside Downing Street, panic has taken hold. Senior advisors describe a bunker-like atmosphere as staff work 18-hour days, trying to manage a crisis spinning out of control. The Prime Minister's approval rating has crashed to just 18%, the lowest in British history, while 73% of Britons now believe the government has lost the right to govern. This isn't just political unpopularity, it's a full-scale collapse of democratic legitimacy. What makes this meltdown even more unprecedented is the power driving it: the internet. Social media has become the nerve center of a nationwide uprising. The hashtag demanding elections has trended globally for over a week, generating billions of impressions. Ordinary citizens, nurses, teachers, small business owners are going viral as they vent their frustration. For the first time, people from all sides, Conservatives, Labour supporters, Brexiters and Remainers, are uniting under one message: give us our democracy back. The unrest has already shaken the economy, with the pound dropping 4% in a week and the FTSE 100 losing over £80 billion in value. Investors are pulling back, businesses are freezing plans, and the Bank of England is holding emergency meetings, warning that Britain could be just weeks away from a full-blown financial crisis. And then, something Britain hasn't seen in generations happened. The monarchy was pulled directly into the storm. Protesters have gathered not just outside Parliament, but outside Buckingham Palace itself. Thousands of people, families, pensioners, students, stood with signs carrying messages that would have been unimaginable just months ago. Charles, choose democracy or be remembered as a puppet. The crown protects the people, not the politicians. Your Majesty, whose side are you on? These scenes are now on front pages around the world. King Charles's approval rating has dropped below 50% for the first time since his coronation. For a monarch whose authority depends entirely on public support, that's a dangerous sign. Without the people, the crown becomes nothing more than a symbol of the past. King Charles now faces the most difficult decision of his reign. If he dissolves Parliament and calls for elections, he risks being accused of staging a royal coup, breaking 3 centuries of neutrality and dragging the crown into politics. Parliament would brand him a traitor, and Britain's allies would question the country's stability. But staying silent while a government with only 18% approval clings to power could be worse. It would make him the king who watched democracy collapse and did nothing. Protesters already see him as complicit, and the monarchy now faces its greatest threat since the English Civil War. Inside Buckingham Palace, tension is at a breaking point. Lawyers and constitutional experts are scrambling, uncertain what powers the king actually holds. The last monarch to intervene was King William IV in 1834, nearly 2 centuries ago. Charles is consulting figures like Lord Butler, Sir John Major, and Tony Blair, men who faced crises but never won this grave. Even within the palace, divisions are deep. Younger advisors believe neutrality in the face of democratic collapse is impossible, while traditionalists insist intervention would destroy the monarchy. For the first time, the question haunting the palace isn't about politics, it's about survival. Britain stands on the brink. A collapsing government, a divided nation, and a king forced to choose between his crown and his people. Whatever Charles decides in the next 48 hours could redefine Britain forever. You cannot be neutral between democracy and authoritarianism. One palace insider reportedly said that Charles must act decisively, even if it means breaking centuries of royal tradition, because without democracy, there is no monarchy. Meanwhile, international pressure is growing by the hour. European leaders are urging Britain to resolve the chaos before it spills over into the continent. Reports claim that German Chancellor Olaf Scholz personally phoned King Charles, warning that prolonged instability could damage relations between the UK and the European Union. French President Emmanuel Macron has already postponed a planned state visit, citing political uncertainty. A diplomatic way of saying that even France doesn't know who's actually running the country anymore. The White House has also weighed in, releasing a carefully worded statement calling for respect of democratic accountability. In diplomatic language, that's not advice. It's a warning. Sort this out or face the consequences. NATO officials have requested urgent briefings on the UK's stability, deeply concerned that turmoil inside the alliance's second-largest military power could weaken collective defence. Tension is spilling into Britain's streets as protests swell across London, Manchester, Birmingham, Leeds, Cardiff, Glasgow, and Belfast. These aren't ordinary demonstrations. They're multi-generational, cross-political marches where families, students, and veterans unite for democracy. Police remain on high alert, with fears that extremists could exploit the unrest. Organisers have announced Democracy Day, a nationwide strike involving transport, education, healthcare, and civil service workers. Analysts warn it could cost £15 billion in a single day, the worst economic disruption since 2008. King Charles is in deep deliberation, knowing his next move could define his reign and the monarchy's survival. Several versions of a national address have already been drafted, but his decision remains secret. This is no longer about party politics. It's about whether Britain's centuries-old institutions can endure the digital age, and whether the fragile bond between ruler and people can be repaired before it breaks completely. The survival of the British monarchy may now depend on one choice: whether Charles sides with the people demanding their right to vote, or with politicians desperately clinging to power. Britain stands on the edge of its greatest transformation since World War II. The government is cornered, hemorrhaging legitimacy with every passing hour. The people are united under one clear demand, louder and stronger than any political movement in modern memory. And the king is trapped in the middle, forced to choose between paths that could either save or destroy everything his family has built for 1,000 years. So here's the question: what should King Charles do? Should he dissolve Parliament and call for immediate elections, breaking centuries of royal tradition? Should he stay neutral and let the democratic process play out, even if that process seems broken beyond repair? Or is there another way, a third path no one has yet considered, that could restore legitimacy without destroying the monarchy?